no different than any other loss we've encountered in the playoffs. We want to bounce back, and it's just business as usual this morning, and we're excited to play at home tonight.
We've put our bodies on the line, and then we've tried really hard to get to this point, and there's still a ton of hard work to do, and that's just our focus now, just having a good Game 5.
The bottom line is it's your work ethic that gets you there. Like, you have to work. Like, to win the Stanley Cup, you have to earn it. The other team's not going to give it to you. Get rid of the white noise. The only thing that matters is the guys in this room. And then no mercy. Go get it, boys.
Comes in front, Goodrow scores! What a play by Ryan McDonough! Score! Beveridge!
I have complete and utter confidence that they can close the series out. Do you want to be just like every other team and win one and be done? Or do you want to become special?
Welcome to The Thunder. I feel like we should play that like 2 times in a row these days, you know? All right, we got Stash. We got Thomas Schooley. We've got Hockey is Fun. And yeah, we won the Stanley Cup. First step, well, I guess we did an episode right after we won the Stanley Cup. But we're going to talk a little bit more about winning the Stanley Cup tonight. We're also going to jump into the expansion draft. I've got a little bit of a game or some graphics that we'll pull up for that. And where do we start, boys?
Back to back, or should we say back to boat? So should we start there? Game 5, rain.
Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's
rain.
so many like quotes and shirts and lines and stuff that is coming out of this championship. But yeah, let's start at the boat parade. No, let's start right after the
post
game. Because we missed most of the post game because we're idiots doing our own post game show, and we're missing the best show, the best post conference I've ever seen. So Stash, talk about it. I know you got something to say about it.
That was me here going solo for an hour with all you guys here in the fans in the chat that follow us live. It was a great time. It was a bit of a blur, to be honest with you guys. And yeah. And then what happened while we were doing all that was the best post-game presser in the last, 20 years probably by a player, notwithstanding coaches. Because, man, some coaches have had there's some all-time in the last 20
Torts alone.
Years, right? Yeah, Torts alone, right? And, I mean, that's just in hockey. We're not even talking about NFL and NBA and everything. So, but I mean, for a player, that's one of the best post-game pressers of all time. And then we get
probably from the least one you would expect it from.
And again, so let's go back. Thank you, Thomas, because let's really dissect this, right? Because let's think about who Cooch was year 1 through 5, 1 through 6, 1 through 7 on this team, right? The first 7 years or so on this team, and he was straight lace, 1-2 questions, putting up front that he didn't know how to speak English.
Right, very socially awkward.
And early on, of course, he didn't. He didn't have great English, but
no,
it took that 2019 season for him, I think, to really be humbled and to understand that it's more than just talent. It's more than just skill. It's just more than that Russian mentality of dominance, right? There has to be a brotherhood. There has to be sacrifice. There has to be more. You have to give yourself. You have to give your soul to this game to win in this league. And I think that that's what we finally saw It took Tampa Bay to break down a Russian hockey player and make him human. And not only is he human, he is now the greatest mascot / player of all time. Number one bullshit. That's number one bullshit. Number one bullshit. I mean,
I disagree with I don't think it was Tampa that did it. I think it was the rest of the NHL when he was sitting and rehabbing, and all he kept seeing was how they were faking his injury.
We got this last year before his injury, though. I'm saying.
Well, yeah, but I think this is what really culminated in this year's explosion. Was the fact that when he sat home rehabbing this injury, then his agent came out and said, no, he wasn't even supposed to play in game 1 of the playoffs. It was Kucherov that said it. He wasn't supposed to come back until game 3 of the playoffs. Yeah. So, and I think all this finally, it made him snap after hearing all of it all season long. And then that's what everybody's excuse was every time we beat their team. It wasn't before we beat their team. Before we beat their team, it was we couldn't hang with them. Once we beat their team, then it was we were over the cap.
Well, what was it last year? What was the excuse last year when the same team beat everybody?
It was COVID Cup.
When it was right, exactly. It's always an excuse, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, I wouldn't say that if you're talking about this one specific presser, I agree. I mean, for sure. It was a culmination of all that. And then when you talk about the fact that Sergachev alluded to the fact that they were getting death threats and whatnot on private messages on social media. Yeah, I mean, that all builds up, you know, and whenever you know that's the Russian trio as well, you know, on our team, you got the Russia trio, and Vasi totally gets snubbed. And we talked about it on the show, you know, I think Fleury is a lifetime achievement award. It's okay, whatever, it's just an award. But
that guy from Las Vegas.
Yeah, you know, that one guy, whoever he is, dude, how savage is that? Like that, and then whoever the guy last year, did get it last year, that other guy, like completely like whoever those guys are, like, dude, it was epic. That was so epic, shirtless. I mean, if any of you have ever questioned why I, the Stash, am all about this, look at that screen right there. You see my Russian spirit hockey animal. That is me. Like, that is how I sell you. If you guys knew, like, I put all the restraint to be professional after the game 5. In my heart, that was me sitting here doing the show. I'm, you know, trying to do my best and play along the nice and gracious host. But in my heart and soul, that was me, minus the Bud Light. You know, that's not how I roll. But basically, that is me. So to see Kuch, a Russian hockey player, a guy that is bred to just be cold and calculated and just dynamic and win, to see him break down the last 2 seasons after the victories of what they went through in 19, and then, you know, we've talked about it so much on the show, 15, 16, 17, all that, not making the playoffs and then get swept in 19, all that. For him to finally show he's human, and I think it's paved the way too. You know, Sergei has been a little bit more outspoken, and he's a little bit more amenable to the social media, as we've already seen. He's already going back to doing his thing, doing whatever the gimmick he's doing right now. You know, Vasi is the goalie, so I think he's always going to be close to the vest. But it's really refreshing to see our Russian players be this outspoken and say what you want, man. I think that's what Tampa Bay does to people.
And then this led into the famous sayings that ended up everywhere for the boat parade and the celebration. Number 1 bullshit shirts were sold by every person that could print them out that had a cricket and could get them out quick enough. And then you had the 18 million over the salary cap shirts. And let me tell you, were either of you guys at the parade or celebration? No,
I couldn't make it.
They were everywhere. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing one of those shirts. Yeah. My favorite was Scott Nightingale, who's on here every once in a while. He actually made a shirt with his cricket that had a picture of the Stanley Cup, and then it said Cooch Light. And Bud Light actually came over and took some pictures of it and everything. But there was all kinds of number 1 bullshit shirts everywhere, all over.
Yeah, and plenty from our guys at Smack, who I think that's who they partnered with, or at least Kucherov's camp partnered with. So
yes,
kudos to those guys,
ones
man. They
seeing out there, yeah.
They took advantage of it.
98, man. Those guys been doing it since 98, you know. So
yeah. So a couple things about this, like the Quest for the Cup. If you haven't watched that, they're all out now. You have to watch it. It's basically a mini series about the Lightning again.
And in fact, if you have ESPN Plus and you can watch this, go back and watch last year's Quest for the Cup and then watch this year's subsequently. Just binge it. They're about 30 to 40 minutes per episode. And yes, it is basically like Shooter said earlier on a post, it's like Lightning fan porn, this show for the last 2 seasons. And here's the other thing about that show. We could actually watch all 3 seasons. You know why? They've only been doing it for 3 seasons. And guess what? Guess who's been on all 3 seasons?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
No, the Big Rig himself.
Oh, yeah, the Big Rig, yeah.
Winning the Cup all 3 seasons. Since they've started Quest for the Cup, Pat Maroon is undefeated in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So, coincidence? I don't know.
And they love giving him the airtime, but it was Cooch. I think it was right before he goes to do this press conference, does like some kind of crack, like, "Hey, this is what a champion looks like. No 6-pack." It's like right before he's going.
No abs, no
hilarious.
No pecs, no 6-pack. Yeah, shirtless, still in his hockey pants.
Yeah, like go check it out because like it starts with Cooper outside of his house smoking a cigar, and it ends the same exact way. So it's a beautiful series. Anyway, what else was I going to say about the press conferences? Like, we found out about a lot of those injuries, so we got to give these guys some credit on like some of these crazy injuries. Cooch with the ribs.
I called a killer injury. I called a broken leg. Everyone said I was grasping at straws. I called it, and it was worse than I even thought. I thought it was a lower leg fracture. It was an upper leg fibula break.
Yeah,
with a rod inserted, and the dude is trying to skate 3 days later.
Yeah, he was serious about playing.
Listen, just for the sake of the show, I'm not going to try and get limber and put my ankle on the camera, but I have 2 rods and a steel plate in my left ankle. I know what this is like.
You were out for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, and that was faster than any normal, honestly. Like I recovered like 3 months faster than most people, most civilians, if you will. I didn't have like sports medicine doctors and all that stuff like these guys do. But I mean, I recovered. I can't imagine putting a rod in your bone, in your leg. And I know it's a little bit different than the lower leg. You know what I mean? Because you have a lot more muscle and whatnot in the thigh and everything else. But like, dude, come on, man. How much more does that guy have to give this market before they go all in on him? Come on, dude. That guy deserves all the love from this market.
Yeah. And by the way, I've got some clips from another podcast, as if this one's not good enough. I had to pull some of these clips from Spittin' Chicklets with Maroon and Killer. So they talk about that, and they talk about specifically like how inspired they were just by Killer and some of these other injuries, like Goodrow, broken hand. McDonough was doing all of that beautiful defensive work with a broken hand. And then we got the Hedman injury finally that we knew since he awkwardly fell back in, who knows when that was, February. Torn meniscus. This team and their damn meniscuses.
And listen, and again, this is something, I mean, obviously not an athlete, but these are all injuries I personally have dealt with in my life through, like, I have no meniscus in my right knee. I have broken hands like that. I don't like, it's crazy to know what these injuries are like in real life. And then these guys are out there playing championship level hockey with these injuries whenever, I mean, I worked through them doing my regular job, but like, that's another level. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane to me that these guys are out there putting their future on the line. Like that's a knee problem for life. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't replace meniscus. You can only repair what's there. So once it's torn, anything he degrades and anything that it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. And I think he did have surgery probably already now that they've stopped playing.
Yes.
Oh no, he already did. He had it with like 2 days after the parade.
Yeah. So the only other thing I found out in the press conference that I thought was interesting was the Lightning did not get like that full day with the cup that you usually get because of COVID and shortened season, I guess. And now they got a quick turnaround to next season. So
well, they opted because the players were not allowed to leave Tampa with it. They had the options of either having the cup, because there is some staff that got to have all the players decided to opt and stick together and not have their actual day with the cup. That was because they couldn't leave Tampa with it. And I don't know if you saw, I want to say it was Vasi's his Hedman's comment saying if he can't have it in Sweden, he's not coming back to Tampa. So they better send it to Sweden for him.
He's getting that go. Yeah, cool. So boat parade celebration time. I know a lot of people were upset. It was on Monday. They waited, didn't do it on the weekend. I think they did it on purpose. So
Wednesday last year. I mean, or I keep saying last year. I don't even know if I could quantify it.
It was Wednesday, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a weekend. Yeah,
it was a Wednesday last year.
They never
parade was on a weekday.
When people were bitching about it, I did research, and I think only one time in the last 30 years any major league sport team had did it on a weekend.
Yeah, they're not dumb. No city has the infrastructure to be able to accommodate
what a weekend would bring.
A weekend celebration like that. They don't, So, but still, what a ruckus event, right? Again, for the first time I didn't get to go down there. Those of you that did watch the show post game, I probably talked about it a little bit. We had to have an emergency go get my son early from the grandparents' house, so I didn't have the single weekend that we thought we were going to as parents to be able to experience the whole celly and everything. So I was here, and to be honest with you, I've still only watched social media stuff. I haven't had the heart to watch it. I've got a recorder on the DVR, but I still haven't had the heart to watch it because of FOMO, for sure. I'm so mad I didn't get to go down there and experience it. Like, I don't know if I'm ready to watch it. I'm going to wait. It's like my little rainy day gift to myself. As soon as I'm really missing hockey, it's not quite back yet. We get through the draft. We see who we lost, who we get to sign. That's going to be my, all right. Remember when we won? That's what I'm waiting for. So
I think their number one mistake on this was doing it at the park, though, rather than at Amalie Arena or something like that. I got injured the night before trying to scope out the park the night before to find out where I wanted to sit, how to get there, the best way to park, best place to park, and everything else.
I like
but it was funny. We ran into I took one of those downtown scooters. I don't recommend.
Wait, you fell on a scooter?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I took a dive. The scooter stopped. I did not.
I saw the post. I imagined that it was a scooter related incident.
Yeah, I thought for sure when I got up, it was going to look like I had just had cannibalism. It felt like there was blood everywhere, all over my face. And I turned around to my friends and I was like, how bad am I bleeding? And they're like, barely any. So I was like, what? And then they're like, thank God you're fat. Your stomach stopped you from hitting it hard.
You got built-in airbags, baby. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
My friend Stephanie's like, I came around the corner. She's like, I didn't see the wreck, but all I could see was your feet above your back. It looked like you were a scorpion.
That's never good.
So we get to the park and we see about 10 to 15 more fans that were also scoping it out, trying to figure out the best place to be. I probably had at least 100 to 150 messages of where they should park, all the way up until I think the boat parade started. Like I was some kind of parking enforcement down there.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of that same shit too, bro. When I
told everybody, I said,
"What's my hey?" Every time I go to game with you, not every time, but we've gone twice, and both times I'm like, "Where did you park? Where did you park?" Because I know you get those so early. You're like, you have it scattered out, man. You know
I like park at Armature Works, walk over. I mean, I got up. I was there at 6 a.m. in the morning at the park. First one at the park. Wasn't even daylight yet. And called. We did a slumber party at one of my friends. She lives in downtown Tampa. So I called her and I was like, hey, street parking's empty. Grab your car. Come on down. Bring the beer. So we did that. And just one of our friends got heat stroke. There's a lot of heat stroke going on down there.
It's hot.
They got to start those things earlier.
Remember, it was
That's the
what
thing.
they won in the fall, right? So they won in September. So it was like we had perfect weather
like
for
the
the last one.
February and shit. Yeah,
And of
July.
It's July, and of course, like I guess we didn't account for those, thunderstorms that roll in every afternoon.
Well, and so the boat parade was going great. For some reason, some players ended up getting way separated from the rest of the.
reason.
I was
see the amount of extra boats that were out there. It was like, oh, you can't have a boat if you're not.
Well,
in the parade.
no, they did a good job of keeping them out of the parade itself. All the extra boats were made to stay to the sides. It was the players actually telling their drivers where to drive those boats. I actually stood on the wall next to the park, and we have a whole bunch of docks that were there. And the three, we had the three Russians actually pull their boat in there and party it along. Then Chernak was on a jet ski, and he came over into our little area, and Yanni came over there. So it was good, but McDonough and Maroon ended up being half hour, 45 minutes behind everybody else. I'm seeing tweets everywhere going, "Where's the cup? It's past. The parade's done." And here comes Maroon and McDonough.
3 cups.
Here they come.
Hey, listen. First and foremost, I just want to say I'm so glad that Big Mac was with the big rig again this season, because last year Shooter and I witnessed McDonough's best save of his entire career, which was when Big Rig tripped off the Garmin on the top of the bimini of the boat he was riding, almost fell off the top from almost 20 feet above the water, tumbled his ass down, and injured himself. But McDonough basically reached out the hand of God, probably the one he broke this year, and got him by the back of the suit and pulled him back on and kept him from going ass over tea kettle off the top of this boat. And I still think that's the best save that McDonough has made during his time here with the Lightning, because if Big Rig can't play this season because of some injury from being drunk on the boat last year, he probably put a hex on the whole damn thing. You know what I mean?
No way we win again.
No way.
But here's the story of the boat parade. By the end of the boat parade,
this wasn't the parade. This wasn't the parade. This is the celebration. Right. Because
the story straight.
Here they get off. They did the boat parade down to Rick's on the River. They have a little bit to eat with their families there. They bring the trolley buses over. Everybody sees them arriving. Greg Wolf gets on the intercom and says the boys have arrived at the park. And then right before they come out, we get an announcement saying, everybody run for cover. And you had literally about 15, 20 seconds to run for cover in an open park. so there really wasn't. They had 2 big VIP tents up and then a couple of beer tents and stuff like that. There was nowhere for all those people to hide. So literally we just stood there. Luckily we had umbrellas because the girls brought them for the heat. But it was stronger than Hurricane Elsa. It was so gusty. You could see the stuff flying around on the stage. I see Scott Audette said he ruined his nice camera, the team photographer, and it was just miserable. And then it stops, and they're about to say that it's canceled, and out comes the players just marching on their own side. So we were lined up on the side fence where the players were coming out, and Maroon comes over to us, walks off the pathway, comes over to us, starts throwing beer at us and champagne at us. Security comes over and tells him to get back on the path. He says no, and starts hugging the fans and starts taking pictures with the fans. And then security says, I need you back on the path again. He said, fuck you, I'm going to the fans. Went back to the fans. Then they told him again, and he decided to climb over the barricade and get in with the fans, and did some more pictures, and then climbed back on and went on stage. Then all hell broke loose. Some people knocked some barricades down, and some people possibly got closer to the stage than they should have.
Did any cars get burned?
No cars get burned.
Imagine that. Did anybody riot?
Nope, no riot.
Did anybody get arrested?
Nope. Well, maybe.
Detained, maybe arrested.
Then you had Yanni carrying a one of those little things with wheels that you put like a
furniture dolly.
Yeah.
By the way, people, does nobody know where that came from? Nobody know?
No,
I do. Nobody realizes that's the dolly for the Stanley Cup case.
No, that wasn't.
Are you sure? I feel like that's the furniture dolly that the cup.
They had them all over there because they were doing speakers and everything else for. No, he got it from over.
So
there.
it was just the sound stage. All right.
Yeah,
because I thought that there was like his little, because like they had the regular, because you saw that they did another belt like last season, but then this year Titus O'Neil actually gave them the WWE belt, which is what Killer was wearing. So somebody else got because Killer got the belt last year, but this year he got the official belt. So I thought that was like Yanni's little trophy. Yeah, well, somebody else got the cup. Well, I've got the,
He was going riding that thing across the stage.
Those things are amazing. If you've never skateboarded them or like land surfed them or body surfed those things, I wouldn't recommend it if you're like older like I am now. But if you're a little bit younger, go for it. Go for it. It's worth it. It's an amazing time.
Cooch came down to the front of the people on the stage, started spraying them. Joseph. They had about 10, 15 minutes. There's a good chant. Number one bullshit was a good chant. Back to back. They were all leading it on. And it was sad because it really wasn't on TV because all the cameras had packed up most of the stuff. So they were unpacking during all this. And we had a little bit of fun, and then another storm started to come, and they whisked everybody off and said, go home.
And that's when the cup got fuckered.
Yeah. So
what we were talking about.
I was seeing it right before it went into that building. So the building that they were all standing in had to have been where it got damaged at. Because when it came out of the building is where we see this picture right here.
This building right here.
And then when it actually came outside of the building, they actually had a tarp over it.
It was towel. Yeah. It was like blanket.
That's all right.
Like blanket.
Yeah.
It just added to the legend of the cup in Tampa Bay, or the haters of the cup in Tampa Bay.
Okay, here's what I don't understand. The fan base of the team that has won the cup the most is saying that we were disrespectful with the cup. Do they not understand that? They say we are a fan base that isn't a hockey fan base. We understand that it's not a big deal that the cup got dented. We understand that it's happened. Worse things have happened to this. It's been left in the bottom of an ice storm. It's been left in Vegas. It's been left behind by people. Did Lightning leave behind? No. A monsoon hit during the celebration. A guy slipped in some water and it fucking got dented. That's actually like lame. That's probably the lamest story of how the cup got dented in the history of the Stanley Cup. And you're going to talk about it being disrespectful?
It was very slippery out there. I
don't understand it. I don't understand how a fan base is supposedly that historically knowledgeable about hockey doesn't understand the lore of the Stanley Cup and how there was nothing disrespectful whatsoever in how the Lightning celebrated. I just don't understand about it.
I got to do a shout out real quick. This is my boss, and I was supposed to be during the parade, I was supposed to be at another store helping with their inventory. And I said, I have 80 hours of sick time. Either I'm sick or that's my day off. I will not be in Pinellas County that day. And he's like, take it as your day off. So I got to thank you to Chris for allowing me to have the day off.
Right. Well, hey, we all lived in the revelry so far. I'm not trying to cut anybody else, but we're talking about, we got the two most vocal guys so far in the chat, back and forth. They want to talk about the draft. That's what we're here for, really. Anyways, right? It's coming up less than 24 hours. And
let's do it. But first, we did have a move before the draft here, which is tomorrow.
A genius move, if you ask me, by Julian Brisebois.
Yep.
Genius.
Yes, Barclay Goodrow for a 7th round pick, just for the rights
For
to
8 days
sign
of
it.
negotiating rights, or less than a week worth of
So,
negotiating rights for a 7th round. And what have the Lightning done with 7th-round picks?
Turn them
Andre
into
Palat?
back-to-back champions.
Andre Palat, I don't know, guys like that. I don't know.
Yeah, so it was a good move. I saw a lot of people that I guess were confused, like, people are saying, you just traded a 1st-round pick for Goodrow, and like they just don't know what they're talking about, I guess,
2
because
Stanley Cups.
it was literally
that was my response. No, we got 2 Stanley Cups out of him. It's good enough.
Right.
well that,
Mighty
and
Ducks,
he's got no.
worth it.
There's no contract there, so you're
right.
just trading the rights.
There's no way.
To sign
There's
him.
no
Crazy.
way.
And it looks like after tomorrow, the Rangers will sign him to a 6-year,
$5 million.
contract, which is something we wouldn't have been able to offer.
No.
Even if all ships played out perfectly,
Right.
And 2 other guys totaling like 10 or 11 million leave, that still doesn't leave us enough for Goudreau and Coleman and Yanni to stay, honestly. Like, there's literally no way that 3rd line was going to stay intact, period. So the fact that they got a 7th round pick for negotiating rights, masterful. That is freaking masterful.
Yeah, great move. And Goudreau's 28, so 6-year contract. I know the number's not horrible, but he's the bottom 6 forward.
Yeah,
he's a great player for your team, but
I don't think he's a top 6 guy. And you're talking about, and this is my problem with Gord too. You're paying $5 million a year for a bottom 6 guy, and we have centers out the wall.
Well, Goody was 3.6 is what the Rangers are getting him at.
You think it's they're saying 3.6? I thought it was like closer to 5.
No, it's 3.6.
Okay. Kevin's got it on here.
Okay, there it is. Well,
it's not official, but that's the rumor.
Yeah. So I mean, and you know what? That's actually a pretty solid hit for that guy, because he could be a potential 2nd line guy depending on the depth.
He's got to score a little more.
I definitely think he's a $3 million guy. It's just something the Lightning couldn't pay him.
Well, and I will say there's still potential. Well, let's go. Well, hey, let's start from the top, right? Because now I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start.
Yeah. Well,
with the protected list, right?
Let's go to it. So, this was the protected list. We kind of talked a little bit about this and what we thought. I guess in the middle of this playoff run, we were kind of mentioning it a few times, but here's what we got. So the Lightning went with protecting 4 D-men and also 4 forwards. So you had Cooch and Stamkos, who actually could not be put on the available list unless they waived their no trade clauses. So they were going to be there anyway. Do we want to have the Stamkos conversation now? Because all the rumors about, let's just skip over it for now.
We'll wait.
Yeah. Let's leave it at this. Stamkos has a no trade clause. So
no move.
No move clause.
Not even a no trade clause. The most ironclad contract you can have in all of professional sports. Literally. There's better contract in all professional sports.
So all these rumors mean he's got to approve that trade to who he goes to, and he's not going to do that.
No,
these guys don't want to leave here. We just won back-to-back cups.
And again, I refer you back to Quest for the Cup last season, and you see how much Stamkos is on that show, and he only suited up for 3 minutes, right? One game he was on, right? And how much was he on that? These guys talk about how important he was this season. A Quest for the Cup. Coop talks about how
Hedman, Stammer, and Kucherov all have the no move clause. Right. They have the ironclad.
Those 2 guys are ironclad. Right. So, but also I'm talking about this guy is still so valuable. Stamkos is still a generational talent. Do people forget that? This guy is still a generational talent, even now. So, anyways, we can move on. We're talking about now the fact that they protected 4 defensemen rather than going 7 and 3. They went 8 skaters and 1 goalie. So they chose to protect 1 fewer skater in order to protect all 4 defensemen.
Yeah. So we'll stick with the forwards now because we got Point. That was expected. Sorelli was maybe.
That's my shocker. That was my shocker.
Right? Like, and here's what's cool about this list. The Lightning are saying, like, hey, this is our guys. Like, this is our core right here. No, these guys are untouchable. And I was a little surprised Sorelli made the list. Thomas, you said you were. Stash.
Well, okay. From a hockey standpoint, I'm surprised. From an organizational standpoint, I'm not. These guys believe in Cirelli as much as they believe in Point, as you can see right here. This is how they value him. Personally, I still think he should have shown more by now for you to still have him protected whenever you see what guys like Killer have done in the last 2 seasons. And I mean, here we go. Matt McBriar has said this is what Alex Killorn says. And that's why I was coming into the season touting Alex Killorn. I'd be really unhappy if I left Tampa. I plan on retiring here. I really don't want to go to Seattle.
Well, by the way, we're going to play that clip and a couple others later.
Alex Killorn has said that before this season. He said it before last season when he started he has made it clear that this is his home. He wants to retire. He wants to make this his home base of operations for the rest of his life. So many of these other players have the same feeling, and that's fine. And they're not all going to be able to do that. Okay. But I want to know out there, who has made you really feel that connected and not just drawn in the way Killer has, right? So as a fan, and seeing also what he does. I mean, he plays more important minutes than Cirelli does, really. If you look at his PK and his power play and everything else, and also when he went out in the finals, I think that's what made it a 5-game series instead of a 4-game series. If Killer is healthy, that's a sweep in my book. I honestly believe that. I don't think Game 2 happens the way it did, and I don't think Montreal gets any momentum as if that second line is intact throughout that whole series. Okay. So
maybe
I think Killer is 10 times more important than Cirelli is.
But here's the thing,
say Cirelli is a future Selke winner. Well, they've been saying Cirelli is a future Selke winner for 5 years now, right?
But these protected lists are not guaranteed those players are going to be here on this team next year. That just means we didn't want to give them away for free. Well, there could be some kind of deal in motion for Cirelli that we're getting something in back, and that's why he protected Cirelli, so that Seattle doesn't take him.
I think you have to have something in place to protect Killer. I think
he's 4.7 million. Cirelli's 4.7 million. Do I think he's worth 4.7 million? No. Is that really the bargain of our forwards right now? Yes.
No, I don't know.
He's one of the cheapers, though.
Killer is, if you ask me right now. And this is putting you guys in private
because we got to lose 2 people. He's one of the cheaper ones. So you save him so that we can get rid of some expensive. So, and that's the same thing with the people with the protected D, Sergachev and Chernak. I think they want to keep that top 4 D together, but does that mean they're still going to be in a Tampa Bay Lightning sweater next year? It sure don't. They could have some deals.
To me, it does. 100%.
Right. They could have some deals made to be able to get these players out of here.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to take away what you're saying, because you're absolutely right. That is actually a very good and astute observation. That doesn't necessarily mean they're excited, but those 4 guys on the right side, I absolutely believe will be here. That's why they protected those 4 guys, because if you, I've been saying, what do we have right now in the pipeline of talent? Centers. We have so many centers. It's ridiculous the amount of centers we have ready to come up that have already played on this team that already know the system, right? So if you lost Yanni Gord at $5 million a year, and he's still got 4 years left on his contract, and conceivably is worth that much on a third line, or even possibly a second line center if he has some talent, he could maybe even see what he does there. Yeah, that's probably best case scenario right now for the Lightning in the Kraken for them to take him, So
all right.
Then what happens though is that you don't have those guys that can fill the defensive side, right? This right side, those guys, you don't have someone that can really come in and replace a Cernak right away. You can't replace a Sergachev right away. And McDonough, you definitely can't replace him right away, right? But any of the guys here on the left side that aren't protected, even a Killer, as much as I hate to admit it, there's some guy on that roster somewhere that can kind of come in and produce like a Ross Colton, if you will, that might be able to come in and play similar minutes. To me, if you really want to know what I think would be the best case scenario for the Lightning, is if they took Yanni, Seattle, with their expansion draft pick from us, And then somehow we had the ability to move Palat as well in some kind of a trade and sign or something like that. Because right, isn't he available to sign an extension now that he's in a last year as a UFA, right?
Yeah.
So if maybe you could do like a trade and sign for him since he's in the last deal and he's still just over $5 million, which isn't really that much for a top line winger, and then he could do some kind of a 3 to 5 year deal wherever you move him to. That right there is $10 million plus in salary cap, right? That means even Tyler Johnson could stay here. There is a possibility that Tyler Johnson plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning next year.
Yeah.
A real possibility, I think.
I think so too. So let's put our predictions out there. I've got the unprotected list. Obviously, there's more people on this unprotected list. These are probably the most likely to go, but they don't have to be on this list. As Thomas mentioned, anyone's in play here. There's draft picks in play. It doesn't have to be on this list. So who wants to Stash? You already kind of went there. What do you think's really going to happen? Who are we moving over to your Stash's Kraken?
Dude, okay. This is the worst thing I think I'm ever going to have to say as a fan of professional sports. I really think that they're going to take Killorn.
Oh my God. Are we going to have to do an emergency?
Yes, 3 years at $4.3 million, and he is absolutely a top 6 winger. He could even be on a top line on that team easily.
Straight up. No side deals.
He's produced. But look at what he does, dude. Two postseasons in a row. And like I said, if he didn't break his leg, I think that's a sweep in the finals.
Any chance we can put him on long-term IR for the season?
I think that, and Kevin Callan is right. He's capable of being a captain anywhere in the league. I honestly believe that, and he still has enough left in his game when he's 28. I think he seriously has a solid 5 years of prime hockey left, and he's just really getting better every year. So if it's me, I don't know. I mean, maybe Gord, but I'm not convinced that Gord is a $5 million a year center yet. I'm convinced Killorn can play anywhere.
All right. So you're going Killer. I mean, that's a sweet deal. You shouldn't have to put a sweetener on that one. I agree with you. No. Well, this is why I'm going to play some of these clips later, because Killer put it out there in the universe. He said, "I do not want to get drafted by Seattle. I will not be happy."
I'm crying, Matt. I will be cracking.
Then he said unfollow.
Sorry, dude.
All right, Schoolie. By the way, I didn't realize this till tonight. We all there's a lot of S's on this show. This show's S heavy, right? And I'm not talking about number one bullshit.
No, this ain't no number one bullshit.
Schoolie, what's gonna happen, man?
I say Plot. I think they take Pally.
I think if you do a sign and trade or trade and sign, something like that, because the Lightning technically can be over the salary cap still, right? Like they still have enough room to be over during negotiating. They could be like 11% or something over that, right? So they have an opportunity to sign him to an extension and then trade him. And that's what that's my number one super fan wish personally. So I like what you say.
I'm going to go with what I think most people are thinking, and you've seen a lot of the national folks say the same thing.
Yanni
Gord, but because he's probably, I think he is the most expensive one on this list, it's going to be Yanni Gord plus. I think they're going to have to give up at least a draft pick and another prospect, and possibly even a Cal Foot.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I agree he's expensive, but I think if you're going to take him here, Seattle, you have to meet the floor anyways, right? You got to be at $43 million no matter what, right?
Right.
So,
and it says that they were given permission from the ownership to go full cap, but they don't believe Ron Francis will go full cap because the salary cap's going to stay flat for a little while. Yep. That he's going to want some negotiation room for the next couple of years. I've also seen some mock drafts come out today saying they picked Joseph from us.
That would hurt. That's why I think almost even if they go Palat or Killorn, I still think the Lightning might have to put the sweetener in there, because why is Seattle going to do us any favors? We just want back to back.
That's not a favor, bro. That's not a favor. I don't think you guys understand that. Even Palat, to me, I think Palat's been overpaid for a long time. The rest of the league and John Cooper do not agree with me. A lot of people talk about how amazing Palat is and how he's the unsung hero and he's the glue of that top line and how he
5.3 million for Palat.
Right, and he does so many things. Dude, 5.3 million is not a lot for a top line winger, okay, for a first line winger, and then he's going into a contract year where he really is kind of down, and if you could re-sign him for like 4.8 for like 3 years on a bridge deal, that's very tempting. For
Yanni's 5.1.
Yanni's 5.1, but he's locked up for 4 more years, right? So he's got 4 years on his contract at 5.1, but he's a center, and that guy. And again, I don't know. I don't know if he's shown that he can be a top 6 center, right?
What about like a Ross Colton? We saw all the potential in the world. He's an RFA.
Dude, so do you think that that's what they're going to do is when the draft is coming up and they already have draft picks and they're probably going to get a shit ton of draft picks, or not even a shit ton, but at least a handful of draft picks during this expansion draft? Do you think they're going to take prospects from teams, or do you think they're going to take proven players?
I don't know.
Go by Vegas, both. I mean, look who they took from us. They took Jason Garrison.
We dealt with them to take Jason
Garrison, and then who was the Russian, the one that sucked, and then a draft pick. So
yeah, I don't think you're going to see any type of sweetener here this year. I know what we did with Vegas, and there was an ability to make something.
I don't know, because it looks like from different things I've been reading, Seattle might draft some players just for other teams. So like a Tarasenko, they might be willing to hold on to some of the money, retain some of their money for Tarasenko and sign him and then send him to another team.
But I know the NHL also came out and talked about some type of.
You can't go back to your old team. Right. You can't send them back to their original team. It has to be to another team.
So, well, and of course there's going to be some creativity here, but if it's me, and we talk, and to kind of get back to the point you were making earlier about the cap space, if it's me and you got an $81 million flat cap, you're probably not going to go up for at least 2 more seasons, right? We're probably looking at 2022 season, so it's probably 2024 before we see another growth in the cap. I don't want to be more than it, like maybe 65 to 68 million, right? You want to give yourself 10 to 12, 13 million to grow, to find out what's out there, what your team needs, to let them, you know what I'm saying? And then to maybe make some moves. You could sign free agents, you can grow, you could, draft. Like I think you want to leave a little bit of space, right?
Well, yeah, because if they're smart, they'll do what Vegas did and really kind of wheel and deal. Like Vegas, their roster was not, who they picked in the expansion draft. They made a lot of other moves that were smart moves.
Well, but now they're way up against the cap. You know what I mean? So like maybe Seattle sees,
but they
leverage themselves so much right away.
They've been super aggressive, knowing that they were on the doorstep after the first year in the league.
That's true. That's also true.
But,
that's a good point.
Because look who they traded for: Pacioretty and Stone, like these guys, to really kind of try to get them over that hump to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with Elizabeth here. I think Colton is the key to filling in whatever hole is created from this draft. Colton would be a huge loss of all the people.
The problem is you got to still pay Colton.
Well, but still he's on a rookie contract, and just because he scored the Stanley Cup winning goal, he's still on a rookie contract, man. You're not going to pay that guy much more than $1 million a year. You know what I mean? Honestly. That's the thing.
Tyler Johnson just posted a highlight reel of all of his stuff,
right,
in the last hour. And I'm reading different things that some of the players have been informed that Seattle will be taking them. So read into it what you might.
Ooh.
Bolt Schultz just tweeted out. Tyler Johnson just posted this video on his Instagram. Most Seattle picks have probably been informed at this point. Read into it what you want. The timing is at East suspect.
Changing my pick.
And I've seen a couple different mentions about this.
So maybe that seventh
video
round
he
pick.
just did.
Well, here's the other thing too. We want to talk about Tyler Johnson, where I said, if they didn't make a deal, and so to me that means that there's definitely some conversation then, and JBB once again pulled off some kind of magic.
Well, it's not just him. There's no way it's just Tyler Johnson.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's what that 7th round pick that we got for Goudreau. Maybe that comes into effect. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's got to be more than just the 7th round pick, but maybe that extra pick is a sweetener, or maybe that's the thing that he uses to make the scouts, feel a little bit better about giving up Tyler Johnson and next year's 2nd round pick or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, one thing I do think we're spot on is it's going to be as part of this expansion deal. It's going to be Palat, Killer, Johnson, or Gord. Because they have to lose one of those contracts. Two, really. So they're going to have to
be 2 of them. Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be this deal, right? It doesn't have to be both of them going to Seattle, but maybe they offload them both and then Seattle deals one of them or 2 of them. Who knows?
Well, I could really see. Here's the thing. I don't think Killer leaves unless he gets taken by the Kraken, period. That's the only way Killer leaves. They're not the Lightning. Excuse me. The Lightning will not trade Killer, right? But if Johnson's the guy that's leaving, now that makes me say, okay, maybe they've got a thing with Pally where they can do a sign and trade, like I was saying. Because to me, that was the one thing I kept seeing more over and over when I'm looking at cap friendly and I'm looking at the hit and I'm looking at contracts. I'm seeing a guy that's on the top line on one of the most productive lines on the NHL, and he's at just over $5 million and he's going into a contract year. If you could do a sign and trade with him, that's a really big deal. That's a really big thing you can do, and that's another $5 million coming. So if you can get rid, or not rid, I don't want to say that. If you can move Pally and then Johnson goes in the expansion, that's $10 million, which puts us then, because we're over a little bit over $4 million right now as we sit over the cap. So that gives us about $6 million in cap space, which means that probably Coleman still isn't able to stay here. I still don't think that's enough money for Coleman and all the other free agents. So that's where I gotta say we gotta make sure that we keep as many of those versatile young guys that can play on the outside as well as the middle as possible.
Yeah, I keep so Kyle's comment here is get rid of BB. I keep thinking if there's going to be a prospect that they're going to package, I think it's him. He's got a good track record in the AHL and
you have a shit ton of sinners.
Didn't really do much when he got his chance. It was Colton that actually was the guy that kind of took this. We thought it was going to be ABB when they kind of both came up at the same time. It was Colton though. Yeah. So maybe he's got some trade value still being a young guy as a sweetener in one of these deals. I don't think race fans saying here, I think it's got to be one of those 4 guys. There's for Seattle to just not take one of those guys just doesn't make sense, but they kind of have us, bent over where they can ask for more.
Here's the thing. Of all 4 of those guys, Palat, Killer, Johnson, and Gord, I still think Gord is the only guy that there's going to have to be a sweetener for, if you ask me, unless you're just enamored by his recent play, but you're not a Lightning fan, right? You're a GM, right? You're still seeing, sure, he had 6 goals on the 3rd line. Maybe that's what you're really looking at, right? Because he only had what I think 7 or 8 points. I think he only had 1 assist in the playoffs, but he still had 6 goals. So maybe that's what you're looking at. Maybe you're looking at the fact that on the 3rd line, he's still able to produce goals. And if you move him up to a 2nd line at $5 million a year, you're going to get value there, right? Because a 2nd line center at $5 million, that's a pretty fair value. So I don't know. It really depends on how they want to build their team, where they want to get to cap wise, and I just don't see them going for prospects on this team. when you have those proven forwards that are back-to-back cup winners that are still pretty much in their prime for at least the next 3 to 4 years that can come in and be leaders and veterans and establish a culture of winning, how do you pass those guys up for someone like a Colton or a Barré-Boulet, unless, like Shooter's saying, it's some kind of a package?
Sorry, I've been digging into this some more, and Tyler Johnson on Twitter just liked a tweet that says, from Sportsnet, who's the one player you want to see in a Kraken jersey? And the person replied, Tyler Johnson, and now he's liked it.
Oh boy! Breaking news on We the Thunder.
That's what we do. We get this live. We get
breaking news flash.
So it's
For every breaking news story,
that deserves a Kraken
one.
Well, I feel bad that I think I'm not paying attention to you, but I'm over here on my phone just refreshing things. And looking.
Yeah, whatever. You're either on your phone or you're at the Cracker Barrel or IHOP or whatever.
And I'm just trying to see all the different things where people are trying. But you got to remember, for what was it, 4 or 5 years ago in Vegas, we thought for sure Killer was gone then. Everybody
protected him then.
Right. Well, I went back and looked, and people were suggesting Killorn, Johnson, and
I've been saying Johnson and Palat since then.
Nobody said Jason Garrison. If someone had Jason Garrison as the pick,
I absolutely did. I promise you.
They were the amazing Kreskin. You are the amazing.
Around the show, I promise you that Jason Garrison came off of my lips on this show. I promise you that.
But I just like, so yeah. So this is what everybody's.
Oh well, this is like if we're gonna talk about wet dreams on this show, then Blake has got it right. Package deal for Johnny Pally, ABB, right?
They better give us a second round draft pick.
Yeah, we got to get something back for ABB.
That won't happen. Well, who else?
He's an unrestricted, right?
Yeah, he's UFA. Everyone on that list, it's Stevens, Barré-Boulet, Colton, and also Jamel Smith and Joseph. They're all unrestricted free agents as well. So I say if like people said that we're in cap hell, I wouldn't say we're in cap hell. I'd say we're in contract hell, right? Because I don't think that we're that up against it as far as the cap goes, only being $4 million over, and the ability to have talented guys that we can move, especially this. And people think this sucks, but I think the expansion draft is actually doing us a favor right now. They're forcing a team to take $4 to $5 million off of our roster and making us basically no blood on our hands on top of it as an organization, right? This couldn't come at a better time for this franchise. The only thing that sucks is the flat cap. And I talked about this before, and I haven't seen anybody else say this. We haven't had an extension in cap yet in the last 2 seasons. JBB was planning on this draft right here, this expansion draft, right? He was planning on losing a contract here. What he wasn't planning on was not having $5 million more of cap space this season to play with, at least. Because if you look at what the cap has been doing over the last 8 to 10 years since the lockout in 13-14 and the growth that it's been showing, it's been growing by about $3 million a year, $2.5 to $3 million. The cap has gone up the last 5 years. So you're looking at about almost $5 to $6 million more in cap space that the Lightning should have right now without COVID, right? And then also the expansion draft. So how much different would this conversation be right now if we had that extra $6 million? Technically, we'd be $2 million under the cap, right?
It could be good, but it's not. So,
but that's what I'm saying. People say we're in cap hell. We're not. We're in contract hell because now we have all these UFAs that we have to figure out a way to resign because that's our depth. Because we have to lose at least 2 of those top guys that are making $5 million or so a year.
Yeah, and probably can't bring back too many of our UFAs, but here's the thing that you got to consider is once kind of the dust clears.
We're not losing Maroon. He's under contract next season for $900,000.
Maroon's not going trade him. And why would you trade your good luck charm?
Go to the NHL and all pro sports right now. And we also have Tampa Brady. So no.
One thing to look for is once kind of all the dust settles on these trades and players that we lose, how much cap room's left? And I don't know of any other team that can probably do more with less than back-to-back champs. Like what veteran player is not going to want to come here and be a third line, D-man, which is a piece we're going to need, right? Or a fourth liner to play with Maroon. I think we get, easily 2 guys on vet minimums that just want to chase a cup. So I fully expect JBB to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Well, and again, and you're right. I think that's easily as an important commentary as the lack of salary cap growth is how much JBB is able to do. I mean, look at Pat Maroon. I honestly think he could have got more to play last year somewhere else. People are saying
watch Seattle take Maroon,
but
that'd be the worst move of all time.
Until they win the cup.
Yeah, until they win the cup their first year.
Somehow,
like, what the hell's
he
going
ends up
on
being
here?
A third line center and ends up putting up like, I'm gonna have to chug the beers next season that I should chug this year, right? He goes and puts up fucking 40 points or some shit in Seattle, right? But no, I mean, that's the thing. The draft is a little bit of a blessing in disguise for us right now. The flat cap sucks, but you're right. This is a situation. If we can figure out a way to be $3 million under the cap going into the season with just enough room at the trade deadline to make a move, you're right. Who knows what's going to happen in the ability to make a move, or after some of these other guys move, who wants to come in here and play for $1 million a year on a 1-year deal to try and win their cup. There's everybody. A lot. Yeah, anyone, basically. Anyone. And here's the other thing I was thinking about too. Imagine if Savard signs a 1-year deal for like $2.5-3 million, and then there's enough room at the deadline, and what do you know? JBB trades back and Savard comes back here at the deadline. That could happen.
It could. All right, so let's talk about some of these other players that are available, like just the big name ones, right? Carey Price. Carey Price. Is he going to be less than 24 hours? Is he going to be the face of the Kraken? He's in bad shape injury wise.
Here's the thing: is that
we broke him.
He's currently in a car right now, traveling to Washington to visit his wife's family. So the internet is going nuts with that. Also, his wife put it on Instagram or Twitter, one of the two, that they were on their way down to Washington. So everybody's going nuts.
Hey, but what I've seen has to be there for the draft.
If you got hip shit, if you need hip surgery, you're not road tripping it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You're fucking G5 in that shit, right?
They said that his
$10 million a year
plane trip to New York for the surgery or consultation with his doctor is scheduled for Wednesday morning. So people will know if he gets on the plane on Wednesday, and if so, then Seattle's not taking him. But what I've read from the experts is they have been in contact with his camp. They have his medical records as of right now, and they have talked to him for a few times. But a lot of people still saying no. But I say you go for him. Even if you LTIR him.
I don't know how you can't.
Yeah, even if you LTIR him to have him as
the other thing.
Your
Guess
franchise.
Who else is unprotected? Guess who else is unprotected? Ben Bishop.
Yeah, he waived his no move, but they ain't going after him.
No, that's a backup goalie at best right now.
Wow.
But if you take both of them, they're both winning style goalies. One of them's got to be healthy throughout the year, right? Just juggle them.
Well, they came out and said they were going to take Dreiger from the Panthers, but now from every list I've seen, he's not even going to be on their list.
Right. So that's what I'm saying, though. What if you got one of these guys that's like, because Bishop's only his contract's not crazy.
Yeah, but you got Jonathan Quick, you got Saban, you got there was a lot of goalies exposed in this draft.
Yeah, they'll find 2 goalies, no problem. But Price has got to be how do you turn down Price?
Well, because he's still got 5 years on his contract, right?
35 or 36 years old. Yeah, that's the argument, right?
Here's the thing, though. Brodeur, one of the greatest of all time. How late did he play? In his 40s. Wow, played into his late 30s. all the great goalies play late into their career. You know what I'm saying? And I think Price has still 5 years, especially revival in a new franchise at a place where it's close to your family and you feel more home there, and you don't have all the pressure of being in Montreal. I mean, we saw what that fan base is like, right? We saw it. I used to have a lot of respect for that fan base until we played them in the finals, and I've lost a lot of respect for that city and the way they treat their players. So why not? Why wouldn't you be excited to go and make, another attempt for, maybe you pay one season on LTIR, you get paid anyways, right? And Bishop comes in and plays out of his mind, and then you get to trade him, and then Carey Price comes in, and you still got 4 years of a legacy type of goalie there. Maybe training a young guy behind him.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great move to start a franchise with Carey Price.
Yeah.
You guys think any of these other guys, like they got PK is available, you got Tarasenko we mentioned earlier is available. There's plenty of good players available. I think even like who was Ovi was on the list because he's a free agent, right? So they could pick up him and have the rights to sign him. That's a little risky, but
they've talked about Ovi going to Montreal. I've seen that as well. But Montreal is interested in Ovi.
Montreal's trying to get him big time.
That would be interesting, and he said he would be open to it. And I think as a Russian player, maybe he would find something because I feel like he's one of those guys. Also opened up a little bit after he finally broke through and won in Washington.
Yes, he did. And he changed very Russian celebration fashion. Just
right. He just
led the way for Cooch.
Yeah, just rubbed his balls on the cup or whatever. Literally, that's not a figurative statement. Like scrotum on the cup. Anyways. A Tarasenko, I think, would be very appealing to Seattle. I would think, sure, he's a little bit oversigned, but again, you have to meet the floor. You still have to be at least 47. And if it's me, I want to be at about 65 million. I want to be about 65, 67 million right now in the very first season. You don't want to over leverage yourself, but you want to go out and find quality players that you feel like can maybe build around. And then you got some draft picks, and if you're good, you kind of load yourself up with draft picks and these moves you make here in the next 2 weeks, and you're able to get a few extra draft picks, and you're able to go out there and scout a little bit, and you're able to build your team, So I think it's Tarasenko definitely of all the guys you named. Between Carey Price, I think is a no-brainer, even at $10 million a year. I mean, what do you pay? Like we're paying Vasi 8.5, right, or 8.9 actually,
9.5.
9.5 and no state tax here. That's like over 11 million in almost every other state, right? That's like 13 million in Canada. So whatever it is, I think I know
you got James Van Riemsdyk on there.
Yeah, JVR, dude. I think JVR is very, very
you got Landeskog. While you're thinking of that word, Landeskog, who, from what I'm seeing, there's been no contact with his camp at all.
I thought I saw someone Boston was going to make him a huge offer. I think is what I saw.
From what I'm seeing with Seattle is that they're asking way too much. Colorado is, his agent is, and so they're not going after him.
He's a free agent.
East Coast, he's a UFA, and I heard there's an East Coast team that's really after him, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Boston.
Yeah, he's gonna get paid. I don't think he'll be back with Colorado, even though they probably could afford him a lot.
They could, I just think that I don't know.
Yeah, I think Colorado's ready to give McKinnon the captain, and like
I don't know. It's funny though because we sit here and we talk about it here. We're like, oh, you can never trade Stammer, but that's kind of like their Stammer, right?
I don't know about that, but he's a captain. He's been there a while, yeah. All right, so we're going to find out in less than 24 hours, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. I'm sure there will be news breaking tomorrow. Make sure you're on Thunderbolt's Facebook group. They'll break the news first, and then eventually, maybe like 3 hours later, you'll see it on Shooter and Stash. So that's how we roll. We like to fact check with like the professionals first.
Also, tomorrow, opening night schedules should be released. So we'll know what night the Lightning will raise the banner. And then Thursday, the full schedules come out. The preseason was already was already released, and we have an October 5th game in Orlando versus Florida.
Yeah,
I'm really hoping we don't open the season against Florida, seeing how we end the preseason 3 straight games with them.
So I want to. I hope so.
I don't want those home and home, open and open. I like when we open against Chicago.
Right away. I want to punch in the face right away. They deserve it. Remember all the bullshit they got away with in the playoffs?
I know.
No team better than to open up the regular season, because guess what? We don't give a shit if we lose those first 2 games. We'll lose them by 8-0 and just beat the shit out of them and pay them back, right? Fuck them.
But the Lightning did sign a 2-year deal extension with the Sully Bears. So to celebrate, they are playing the October 5th game there.
Yep. So, well, hey, I want to give a shout out to Kevin Callan, Matt McBriar, and I mean everyone else in the chat. But Matt McBriar came in hard and fast. Probably why Tiffany never got back to him. But we appreciate you being here and being a fan and commiserating and looking for love again, buddy. Because we'll be here. We'll try and set you up here on the Shooter Slash Love Hotline. The stash magic is back, by the way. As you have all seen, the playoff beard has been shaved. The stash is back in full effect. So if you guys really need the good luck and the good juju, just come on, man, and I'll give you the love line and I'll let you know what's up. I'll help you out, right?
Corey is checking in from Iceland. Sounds cold.
Iceland. I was gonna say.
Sounds green.
All right, let's wrap this up with some fun. I listened to this earlier. Great interview. Go check it out. Barstool, Spittin' Chicklets. I took the best parts out for us.
I'm jealous.
So
go ahead.
I've been thinking about all these stories that we've got, and there's even some more that I'm going to play here that would make very good animations and videos. So they're giving us all kinds of material here. All right, so let's share this really, really good interview. They went maybe 45 minutes with the guys. They talk about Cooper a lot. Cooper was also a guest on the show the week before, so check that one out. They talk about Killer's injury, how he was really trying to come back from it. Maroon had this spider bite injury that during the playoffs that was pretty funny. He was trying to get in line for the shots to get shot up before the game with the painkillers, and he's jumping in front of Goodrow with the broken hand to get for his spider bite. They joke around about that. And they had a players only meeting before Game 7 against the Islanders that the captain and some of the other alternates called together. So I thought that was interesting. But I pulled 3 clips. The first one was already quoted in the chat. What awesome thunder we have here. It's all about Killer, how he wants to stay with the Lightning. So let's make sure you guys can hear this, and we'll play the clip. Let me know if you don't hear it, guys.
So I guess now that Patty's taken off for about 10 minutes, we'll talk to Killer. Well, first things first, man, I guess the main topic off the hop before we get into the Stanley Cup is you're not protected right now by Tampa. So if you want me to fucking send out a message over to Ronnie, maybe even a death threat if he picks you up, to go to Seattle, we'll have to give him a leg like yours.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, I'm so happy in Tampa. Obviously with I talked with Julian yesterday, and I know he had a tough decision on who he was going to protect and who wasn't going to protect. And unfortunately for us, there's 3 really good forwards, or there's more than 3, but it seems like there's 3 that they're going to be looking at to pick. And, I think for myself, I'd be really unhappy if I left Tampa. I mean, I plan on retiring here. I really don't want to go to Seattle, but you know what? We did win 2 cups here, so I don't know what else to say. I just wanted to, say that.
I think
all-time power move, Biz. The Spezza move. The power.
No, it's not.
Remember when they chucked him on waivers?
So there you go. Yeah, obviously he's a Tampa Bay man now. He might be from Montreal, but denied them their first Stanley Cup, and he's a Tampa Bay boy now. What can you say?
I've said it since day one, man. That guy, him and I, we understand what it's like to be here from another place and to know what the spirit that this team, the city, and this fan base and this whole this environment of living here can grab you, and it force you to make this your home. right? Like you don't even want this to be your home. You're just like, oh, I'm just visiting. Oh, I just came to Tampa, whatever. Who knows? Then you come here and you realize what it is. It's infectious, man. You just can never leave. And that guy gets it. That guy gets what it is to be here. He gets the fan base. And yeah, I think it'd be really sad if we lost him for many, many reasons.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be back. Second clip, another great one. This was all about like the Lightning being the most superstitious team in the NHL, which I knew about Hedman. They actually talked about Hedman a little bit on the Quest for the Cup, about he's kind of a psychopath with the superstition. Apparently, it's the whole team. So here, we'll play this one too.
Our team, I mean, I don't know what other teams are, but we must be the most superstitious team in the NHL. Every guy, I mean, there's certain guys that sing a song in the bathroom before a game, like crazy.
Will you name names?
No, I'm not going to name any names.
What song?
It's a bunch of different songs that all include different guys' names, and it's crazy. Honestly, like when Savard got traded, we're like, hey, if you go in the bathroom at a certain time, like there's gonna be a song. There's like 6 guys like doing acapella in there. It's really weird. Just like sorry,
dude. We gotta find out what that song is.
We have to go all in and get fucking Killer on the show. I said it last season. I said it now. That guy, him and Maroon both.
I've asked him on Instagram. He doesn't answer me. He follows me, but doesn't check my DMs.
I'm pissed, man.
So I'll keep trying. That'd be the prize of the off season for sure. He did go on to say, I thought this was pretty cool, that a lot of that superstition he thinks was actually from Marty St. Louis, who kind of passed it on to Stamkos and Hedman, because I guess Marty was like super superstitious. All right, one more, another
Wingers on the club.
Classic Russian tale here. Again, I'm just thinking like these could all be amazing animations along with some of the other stuff that's happened, but this one's takes the cake here with the Russian boys.
We've heard rumblings about the high-end Russian players getting this Vladimir Putin credit card, where it's like basically like, hey, if you get a night out with the Russian boys, you're allowed to swipe it. Have you guys heard any rumblings of that?
No, the only thing I ever heard of, like what Cooch said in the summer, he takes like a Bentley into a club. Him and Malkin, like they roll into this club, they rent the Bentley, and that like that's their seat. Like just roll up in the club and they just party. That's a table.
They got the suicide doors and they just open it up and then
that's what they go there.
So Cooch and Malkin in the offseason, apparently they rent cars and drive them right into clubs, and that's where they chill. That's where they park. Okay. So, go check out this podcast. Really great stuff. I know it's weird to have a podcast that's just sharing clips from another podcast, but we can't pull those guests, so we've got to share some of those good stories.
Hey, let's not forget the fact that we got to get back with. Damn it! I'm gonna pass on this one.
His brain is getting fried the later we get here.
No, it's because I'm still thinking about like I'm listening to Killer and I'm getting wistful. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you guys in the chat 2 days ago. The more and more I think in our private message group that we have, more and more I think about it. It just makes a lot of sense for them to take Killer in the expansion draft. He's still got 3 years left on his deal. I'm sorry, 2 years left on his deal after this year. And he's only at 4.3. Can you believe that only 2 or 3 years ago people were crying about how much he got paid? Remember that?
Yeah, but he wasn't scoring that much.
But he was still the same guy in the locker room. You know, the only difference is he's finally allowed to play on Stamkos' line. And he wasn't playing on Stamkos' line those years. Stamkos kept getting put on the top. Like, I said this way back when. Yzerman signed Killer to that contract that he did to make him Stammer's winger. It was supposed to be Goose, Maverick and Goose. It was Stammer and Killer. I know that was Yzerman's idea, and I think Brisebois understood it. It just took a little bit of time for them to get the depth to be able to match those two guys up the way they wanted to. And now that they finally did, and you saw a couple of when those guys are healthy, when Cirelli, Killer, and Stamkos are healthy, that really is our best line on this roster, because they play both ways. They put up points just like the top line, but they grind and they play forechecking and possession like the third line. So that really is our best line when all three of those guys are healthy.
Listen, you don't have to sell me on the second line or killer for that matter.
So,
but someone's got to go.
I'm scared. I'm scared. It's going to rip my heart out. And I'm going to be that fan that I've been talking so much shit about for the last decade of, oh, it's just a player, get over it. I'm going to finally know what it's like to see my favorite guy be put in jeopardy. So,
well,
it's not cool.
We'll see about that. Last thoughts, and let's get out of here. Schoolie, got anything else to tell the peoples?
Thoughts out to Sonia. Thoughts and prayers. Not going to tell her business, but she is currently at a hospital. So everybody in Lightning Nation, send some positive vibes her way. Like they said, check out Thunderbolts. We'll have everything tomorrow as it's coming down from the draft. I'll be working, but we'll be on break. Updating everything as long as the other admins. And of course, as soon as the schedule is released this week, we'll have it out and we will start making group trips announcements.
Oh, yeah. Stash, tell us how much you're going to miss Killer. One more time.
Don't talk about it, man. Don't talk about it. I just want to say that in the perfect world, the Kraken select Gord and the Lightning make a deal to trade and sign or sign and trade Pally. And that gives us $10 million that we need in a cap space. And maybe even Johnson somewhere in a side deal. And that makes us have the ability to keep Coleman. So I'm going to be optimistic. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come out here for the show trying to be optimistic and not be sad that I think my favorite guy's going to leave. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping Gord gets taken. And then there's a deal to sign and trade Pally, and maybe Johnson is some other package deal to the Kraken, and that's why he is doing his farewell video. That's what I'm hoping.
Cool. All right. Kevin's asking, any other shows planned soon? Soon, probably not. We can't. We can go live next week, but who we're going to talk about? Who we lost to Seattle. Let's plan for this. Follow. Shooter in the Stash, follow Thunderbolts so you can find out when we're going to be live next. We usually post it within 24 hours of figuring out the time. Let's leave it at this. Probably in August. So sometime in August, we'll find a time, probably around a key date. I'm not even sure when free agency starts, but I'm thinking maybe sometime after that we'll have a little better direction on who is in and who's out, or I guess more who's out. But
we can have the draft coming up, but we won't be doing a thing for that. But
we don't have many picks in the draft, so not much to talk about there. So, and we need a little break anyway. But I think we'll be back in August for sure. And then
and we talked about there's some animation issues or things we can do. So you can always be looking out for other things from us in Spider shows.
Number one BS, a dented cup, the stories that we just heard on the podcast. There's plenty of opportunities.
We might even retrieve the Stanley Cup from the bottom of Tampa Bay. Who knows?
Exactly. All right. Well, keep an eye out tomorrow. We'll see some of this news. Go follow Tyler Johnson. See if you get some more clues to the
mystery.
We
will be posting on all of our social media outlets too. So we will be posting. As always, Shooter's really good at being on top of social media and the memes and all the other extra stuff that's going on too. So if we aren't doing the regular show, the content is still there for us.
All right. Right on, everyone. Go Bolts. Until then, this has been We the Thunder. Don't forget to be the Thunder.